My name is Marcel Perkins from Latin Trails. We are a destination management company based in Ecuador. We have our own operation in the Galapagos Islands. We are a business to business company. We've been operating in the Ecuador and the Galapagos Islands since 2002. So we have a little bit over 20 years experience. We focus on creating guest experiences, custom itineraries. We have a 24/7 concierge service as well for all our guests when they're traveling. And we focus on creating custom itineraries. We work mainly with travel agents. Also, we focus on guest stories more than our story. We focus on their story. So it is really your client's story that is when they're traveling. I'm gonna give a few reasons to visit the Galapagos Islands. Animals are not afraid of humans. That's one of the things, and that's one of the main features when you have somebody traveling to the Galapagos. Why would you want to visit this unique remote island area? Well, it's because you can get close to animals that have never been threatened by humans, and that is actually perhaps the main attraction. And of course, this is wildlife you can find nowhere else. Some of the wildlife is endemic, and it's native only to the Galapagos Islands. And here we have a slide to present that, the marin iguanas, Darwin's finches, the giant tortoises. And this wildlife is unique to the islands, but also not afraid of humans as well. And this is, it comes from the fact that, they've never been threatened or attacked by humans. Now, another reason are the unique landscapes and memorable experiences in the Galapagos that, one can take part in. Anywhere from walking close to the wildlife, sea kayaking, snorkeling, and all that. And those are all part of a Galapagos trip. It's an active trip. A lot of people will ask, when should I visit the Galapagos? When is the ideal time for my clients to visit the Galapagos? Well, the Galapagos are located at the equator, as well as the country of Ecuador. And it's a year-round destination. So we have a wildlife calendar here, and it shows you the air temperatures and the sea temperature as well, the water temperature. And as you can see, the temperature, it never goes below 79, 80 degrees Fahrenheit in the air temperature. Well, and it doesn't, well, sometimes it will reach 70. And then the water temperature will go down to about 70 degrees as well as a low. And then on the high side, we would talk about, maybe 90 degrees at certain days during the Galapagos winter, which is January through June. This is the warm season. July through December is the cooler season, and it's considered the misty season. Now, I'm going to talk about the two ways of travel again in the Galapagos. One of them is on hotel-based, and the other one is cruise-based. We're going to start by, I just want to step back a little bit and mention the Galapagos are part of the country of Ecuador in South America. Most flights and travelers would arrive to the Sea of Quito, and then they would fly onwards to the Galapagos Islands. Now, what is that first day, or what is a typical day on board a cruise in the Galapagos like? Well, a typical day on a cruise in the Galapagos is, depending on, on the cruiser tour, is a 6:30 a.m. wake-up call. And this is on board a yacht or a cruise ship, a buffet breakfast that is starts at 6:30 a.m. To 7:30 a.m. You have some time to wash up, and then you go out on the islands. We would normally start with either a snorkeling or a nature hike. The nature hike is going to be approximately 2 hours, and the snorkeling is going to be about 45 minutes or so. Then after that, we would be back on board around 11 to 11:30 a.m. We have a small snack. The chef on the yachts, some of them will present a ceviche lesson, and then we'll have lunch on board. We'll have time to wash up, and then in the afternoon, we actually go out for another series of activities on the islands. So we'll see that right here, and then between 2:30 and 5:30, we would be on the islands exploring again, snorkeling, sea kayaking, zodiac rides, and then we have dinner in the evening. Dinner is before the briefing usually, because after the briefing, which comes after dinner, we'll be navigating to the next island. So we navigate at night, and we visit islands per day. We have on a typical day, you have 2 visits, except for the first and the last day of your cruise. On the first day, you have an afternoon visit, and on the last day, you have a morning visit. because before that, on the first day you have the flight, and after that you have the flight. Um, Now, if we want to look at the different activities, we'll get into that and what the experiences are like in the Galapagos. Um, Finally, well, at the end of the day, you have a briefing. Now, your guide will give an evening lecture. Depending if if there's kids on board, we have special lectures for kids during the summer. We have puppet shows, we have coloring books, and we have interactive presentations. If the group is adults only, it'll be a little bit more focused on the science, but in plain words that everybody can understand. There's not going to, the guide is not going to make it complex. It's not going to be something that you need to understand biology, but you actually about very practical and about the wildlife of the islands, and of course preparing for the cruises. Now, as Latin Trails, we have our own fleet of yachts. One of the yachts that we operate and that we own is the Galapagos Seaman Journey. This is a luxury class catamaran. It is our entry level. It has 8 cabins. 2 of them are upper deck matrimonial suites, and 6 of them are main deck twin cabins. Now, the way I'm presenting the Seaman Journey is how we would present any of the yachts to you that is available for booking, and it lets the indoor dining areas, the social areas. We'll go through pictures, and I'll share that with you. The different awards each yacht has earned, what amenities there is, that all yachts have a naturalist guide, what type of cuisine. In the case of the Seaman Journey, everything is organic on board, and it's farm to table. We'll elaborate on that. The amenities are biodegradable. There's internet service on board, and credit card payments are available as well. It's a yacht that's only for 16 guests, so taking that into account, here's the deck plans and the different sizes of the cabins. About 190 square feet in average for each cabin. So cabins are they're pretty sizable and very comfortable for guests. All of them have an ocean view window. This is one of the upper deck matrimonial suites. You have closet space. All cabins have private facilities, ocean views, and then these have the possibility of a sofa bed for a child. Actually, another picture of the same cabin. Then we have the main deck area. Here we have 6 cabins, and these are on the boarding area of the deck. We'll go through that briefly, and then you can see the size of the cabins, twin or and can be converted to matrimonial as well. Then these are the social areas. You have the indoor dining area. Uh, we can split the tables, but normally guests prefer to have a family style dinner, on board. It's a small yacht, it's a small group. Everybody really gets connected, and everybody wants to share. But we can have private, for example, private dinner for a couple on the sun deck, with a private a candlelight dinner for them, and that can be separated. Now, buffet breakfast and buffet lunch. The reason for this is to actually have everybody quickly off the boat so that we can spend more time on excursion, which is the main purpose of being. Then we have the indoor social area. This is where we give the briefings every evening, as we saw before. And one thing we have, for example, on the Seaman Journey, this is the first yacht that has implemented this in the Galapagos, is the Citizen Science program. Through Citizen Science, we offer programs. One of them is called Happy Whale, and the other one's called Garbology. To give an example, Happy Whale, we share photos of whales that are taken by our guests with the scientific community, and this way they can track the migratory paths of the whales that are going from Antarctica to Vancouver or Alaska, and these different bays, and their migratory path is going through the Galapagos. We've identified, and our guests get credit for the whales they've identified. The other program is Garbology, which takes care of ocean debris. We clean it out, but we also document it and share with the scientific community. We have an external dining area, so we have a barbecue once every cruise. Now, what I'm explaining here is what happens on a typical yacht in the Galapagos Islands, and not just on the Seaman Journey, but most yachts offer this type of service. This is the sun deck. You have day beds, you have a shaded area, you have loungers, and this is the life on board. You're always enjoying the views of the islands. This is one of the external lounges at the boarding area. To the right or left of this seating area, you have some steps that go down to the water. It's like a dive platform, so it's easy to board and onboard the yacht. And usually, Sea Land will hitch a ride with us from one island to another, so you'll see them, on the steps sometimes. So that's how close the wildlife gets. You have an outdoor bar area. This is our cruise, one of the cruise directors on board. The gastronomic experience. The food, we tend to have it gourmet for dinners, and as I mentioned, it's a buffet for lunch and breakfast. Now, with the Seaman Journey in particular, the yacht has its own organic produce plantation on San Cristobal Island. This is hydroponic, and this avoids bringing in introduced species and anything that could harm the islands. And we have farm to table cuisine, so it's really very very dedicated to the quality of the food on board. Now, activities you'd have on board this type of yacht is kayaking, snorkeling, nature hikes, visiting the different wildlife areas. And as I mentioned before, we have the children's program during the summer. And all these activities are included, and every day you have different visits. I mentioned the citizen science program, the identification of whales. And this is one of the another thing about the Seaman Journey. This yacht promotes gender equality. Half the crew are male, half the crew are female. And this is, for example, Karen. She's studying to be the first female captain in Galapagos. So she's the first mate on board. The itineraries. I'm going to give a sample of itineraries for the Seaman Journey. This applies to all boats in the Galapagos as well. There's different extensions, but to give you an idea, this is a 4-night, 5-day itinerary that covers the northern islands of the Galapagos. And you can see where it starts at Baltra Airport in the center part of the islands, and it finishes on San Cristobal, the other island. Now, most boats in the Galapagos have itineraries that last anywhere from 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 days on a commercial basis. And then you can combine itineraries to be all the way up to 14 nights, which is 15 days without repeating any visitor sites. But commercially speaking, and at the airport locations, the itineraries would last 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 days. This is a sample of a 5-day itinerary in the southern part of the islands. And finally, we have a 6-night, 7-day itinerary that goes all the way around the western side of the islands. Then other yachts that we work with and we have it within our system, we have a business-to-business system that is available for travel agents to access. And it's only available to the industry, where we have online availability, real-time promotions of other yachts in the Galapagos, like the Aquamare, for example. This is a luxury Italian built with a really nice European design there. And again, it's we have a let me see, Kevin there. We also have a partnership with Lindblad Expeditions and National Geographic, where we promote the Delfina and the other ships that are operated by Lindblad as one of their main wholesalers. And we can what our service offers for the travel agents is actually real-time availability online for all the boats in the Galapagos. And we would book, when it comes down to booking, we would book the boat that matches your client's dates, their preference in budget, and their preference in extension. Now, this is a new build that's coming in that we're representing, the Hermes catamaran. It has capacity for 20 passengers. It has 10 cabins. Each cabin has its own private balcony, its own private hot tub as well. And this is one of the suites. It's launching in May. The boat is ready pretty much. It's just final details before it reaches the Galapagos. These photos have actually been taken by on the Guayas River before departing Ecuador. This is where it was 100% built in Ecuador. So that's another thing, hand built. Everything has been decorated locally. So you can see, that the different sourcing. This is the photo of the balconies. Now there is butler service on board, and there is a hammam style spa as well. So this is what we'd consider, like an ultra luxury yacht in the Galapagos. It's 50 meters long. That's 150 feet. So it's quite large. And again, indoor and outdoor dining areas, and all the nice observation decks that you'd expect on a yacht like this. Then Elite, this is also another yacht built in Guayaquil for 16 guests, private balconies, nice spacious cabins with twin or king size beds, sun decks, and the indoor dining area, outdoor dining area. So pretty much the same layout on most of the yachts. And as you can see, they're nicely decorated, nicely appointed. So you do have luxury options for the Galapagos. You have first class as well, and several itineraries and different price points. And as I mentioned, we have all the online availability for these, and we can share this with you through our B2B section, where we have also other training materials for the rest of Ecuador as well. Now, as we as we go through the different boats, just to give you an idea, what they're like and the different features they have. Again, remembering the activities, Zodiac rides, sea kayaking, nature hikes, getting close to the wildlife. What's included in a Galapagos cruise usually, right? So let's just go one back. Oops, I went too far, and there I think we are. It includes airport assistance. Well, in general, when you book with Latin Trails, you'll have somebody waiting for you at the Quito airport or the Guayaquil airport to help you check in, go through the Ingala screening. Ingala screening is where we screen the luggage to avoid that you're bringing in seeds or anything that could harm the Galapagos. When you arrive in Galapagos, the crew will be waiting at the airport. That's included as well. Accommodation in a suite or a twin cabin, all meals during the cruise. You have a naturalist guide there. All the excursions, visits, and activities are included in the itinerary. There is snorkeling gear included on most of the yachts. And I would say pretty much all the yachts that we book have that included. The sea kayaks are included as well. Unlimited purified water, coffee, and tea. Now, we're talking across the board. What would not be included is round trip flights from mainland Ecuador to the Galapagos, which is about $540 per person. The park entrance fee, which is $200 per adult and $100 per child. The Ingala, the transit card, which is $20. Now, all this can be prepaid, and it could be part of a package as well. So it really depends on what you want to offer your clients. Tips, of course, are not included. Local taxes are actually included in the cruise and everything, except for any alcohol that is purchased. And that's what it refers to there. So we would actually cross out taxes on this. Travel insurance is not included; it's optional, but it's highly recommended. And one of the other recommendations is cancellation insurance, because for a Galapagos cruise, deposits are usually non-refundable after it is 100% confirmed, and final payment is due usually 60 days prior, and after that, it is also non-refundable on most of the small yachts. Now, taking that into account, it is important to have cancellation insurance and travel insurance for the Galapagos. Meals and service is not mentioned above. This would be, meals in Quito or outside of the ship. If you are at one of the ports and you decide to go into town and you're going to maybe, skip dinner on board and you want to try something locally on the islands, that would not be included. As I mentioned, most alcoholic drinks and soft drinks are not included. Extras and personal expenses, this is depending on each person, so, in that sense. Now we'll continue with the next slide if it, just see. Premium sites that you visit on the cruise ships. Now, these are really sample sites. And for example, if we talk about the northern islands of the Galapagos, on any typical itinerary to the north, you have Genovesa Island, which is really famous for the red-footed booby and having a cliff with thousands of birds where hawks and eagles, and not eagles, but and owls are hunting. Then you have Bartolome Island with the iconic view of the islands. This is what you'd find normally on a northern island itinerary. If we look at the southern islands, you have places like Española Island, where you have the Nazca boobies, which are in the picture here, or the waved albatros, and Punta Pete, where you have the three different types of boobies, red-footed, blue-footed, and Nazca boobies at the same site. And then when we talk about the western side of the islands, we talk about Fernandina Island, Isabela Island, and these are a little bit more volcanic. And here we have pictures of flamingos, nearby, but also marine iguanas and penguins and flightless cormorants. So it's a really a unique destination in that sense. Now, we're going to talk about the hotel-based program. We call it island hopping as well, but it's how does it start? Well, guests arrive at the airport, they're transferred to the hotel, and then they take their tour. And these are day tours coming back every day to the island. What is a typical day like? It's a little bit different than a day on a cruise. You have an early wake-up call, you have your breakfast at the hotel, then you transfer to the docks, and then you have a navigation. The shortest navigation is 45 minutes. So in some cases, you'll be at the island at 9 a.m. Between 12. You have lunch on board your yacht. You have a few more activities, and then you have to sail back to the main island. And then in the evening, you return to the hotel and you have dinner, and then you have free time to enjoy the island itself, or just be on land, or be stargazing. We have clear skies in the Galapagos, so that's one of the main things. Then we have, for example, Santa Cruz Island. This is one of the main islands with hotels on it, and as a base. And these are some of the visitor sites that are nearby, For example, the Charles Darwin Station or Seymour Bartolome Island. Um, then some of the accommodation, you have luxury lodges like Picaya Lodge, one of the top luxury lodges in the world, eco lodges because of the eco standards, or the Galapagos Safari Camp, which is a family-friendly tented camp, but also in the highlands of the island and actually close to the tortoise sanctuary. So then, if you want an oceanfront property, you have something like the Finch Bay with its pool area, and and it's right in front of the German colony. That's how we call it, the German colony beach. Or as Latin Trails, we offer also private villas, where we would offer all the catering with a private chef. To and of course we would arrange day trips on day trip yachts, which we'll have a quick look at in brief. Then another island where you can take base and stay at the hotels is Isabela. Here we can see, it's a little bit different. The scenery, and you have the volcanic landscapes. This is the Sierra Negra volcano. You have penguins in the area. You have different channels with um, wildlife, with flamingos. The Wall of Tears. This is the Las Grietas area. The Tintoreras channel, where you have it's a shark nursery. So again, you can spot those there. Then there's nice lodges there, like Escalesia Lodge. This is a nice first class option. You have oceanfront properties as well, like Iguana Crossing. And again, these are different hotels that are located on each island. We work with all the hotels. San Cristobal Island is another option. This one also has an airport, so you can fly back from mainland from San Cristobal. I love coming and staying at this island. It's a little bit more laid back than Santa Cruz, but they're both beautiful. But what I like about staying on San Cristobal Island is you can take a day trip on Española, out to Española Island. This is where you find the waved albatross, for example. And attractions near San Cristobal are Kicker Rock, as I mentioned, Española, Punta Pit, which was also mentioned before. Then hotels there, you have a first class, the Golden Bay, which is right in front of the ocean. And the alternative in the luxury class category is Hotel Indigo. This is also an oceanfront property. Then in terms of activities, as I mentioned before, we have the nature hikes, photography excursions, Zodiac rides, scuba diving. Now, scuba diving is not regularly offered on the liveaboard yachts, the yachts that do the cruises around. We can offer it as an additional activity, and a dive school will come and meet us at the visitor site. Guests would not take that excursion that is planned at that moment, and they would go out scuba diving with the dive operator, and they would be brought back to the yacht later. Now, if they're on land, then they can actually do the scuba diving from leaving the port just as they would go out on a day tour and come back. So we offer this as a combination. In some cases, if you have a group that is divers and non-divers, a few of the people can go do the scuba diving while the others are doing a nature activity like snorkeling or visiting one of the wildlife trails. And then they get together at the end of the day and go back to their hotel. And then this group can actually later on, after the scuba diving part of the group has their dives in, then they can all board together one of the liveaboard cruises. That's an option. And we also offer dive only cruises. But of course, that would not be ideal if you have a group that is mixed between divers and non-divers. And again, we have our own staff on the islands to organize all these activities. We have our own team of guides that have been trained by us and been working with us for almost the 20 years that we've been operating in the Galapagos. Kayaking, excursions on lava, and other activities are also part of it. Now, the day tour yachts. So, for example, here's one of them, the Windrose. As you can see, it's a smaller yacht. Or another option is, we have let's see if the Picaya Vision. This belongs to Picaya Lodge. So, for example, this is another day tour yacht. You can see they're comfortable. They're nicely appointed. These can be chartered or booked, into. You have we can, if we do upgrades, on charters, we can have an exclusive menu. We can upgrade that. We can have an exclusive chef for the group, private services in that sense, open bar, and of course, you have the entire use of the solarium for your group when you're doing a charter. Airlines that travel to the Galapagos. Now, I'm referring from mainland Ecuador. LATAM Airline and Avianca are the two airlines that cover the route between Quito and Baltra, or Quito and San Cristobal. Guayaquil Baltra, Guayaquil San Cristobal. Now these are commercial flights, 727. As an idea of the airplanes that are used, we have a full airport there, and fully equipped airport in the Galapagos Islands, which is actually also eco-friendly and is carbon neutral. And these are some of the, the VIP lounges, which we have access to for your guests, and we can definitely offer that included, both in mainland Ecuador as in the Galapagos Islands. Now, we've talked about the Galapagos. We've gone over a little bit, the pros and all the details between island hotel-based programs and the cruise-based programs. Of course, as you can see, the cruise-based program, you have activities both in the morning and the afternoon. Well, with the hotel-based program, you'll have one activity per day. And then you have to backtrack towards your island where you have your hotel. Well, on the cruise, you're going to navigate by night and you're going to wake up every day at a different island. Those are the main features. Then where would you stay in Quito? Well, Latin Trails has a small hotel, and this is one of the options. Quito is a city that I really recommend guests take some time to explore. Your clients will love it. It's a colonial city. It's in the Andes, and it's surrounded by volcanoes nearby. And you have small hills like the Panecillo Hill with the iconic Virgin there on top, which is one of the important landmarks of the city. You have Gothic buildings like the Basilica and churches covered in clad in gold in the Old Town. Now, of course, more than that, the Old Town offers a live culture and other activities as well. Well, in Quito, we have Ila Experience Hotel. This is a 10-room property that belongs to us. It's part of our family. We have it's in the historic downtown area. It's a restored colonial mansion. But also the area it is in is residential. It's a five-star hotel. As you can see, the different facilities, everything is handmade inside the hotel. There is a nice pool in the old town. There's a spa area, and all these activities, all the experiences are included. That's why it's called Ila Experience Hotel, because we have direct interaction with neighbors. I'll give you some examples. Miss Gladys here will come to the hotel with her ingredients and share her dessert recipes with the guests. Or Jerry Reynoso in the center here will come and offer watercolor lessons on the rooftop. Finally, you have Miss Olga here on the other right. She offers a, a workshop on how to weave your own straw hat. So these are things that are included in the stay of guests. We have 40 different experiences at Ila alone. Now, this is a sample of what Latin Trails can do also in other areas of Ecuador and South America. Latin Trails has offices in Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, and Argentina, and we also offer trips to Antarctica, to let you know the scope of our work. But in Ecuador, in Anadila in particular, these are the experiences, and they're included in guest stay. Every day we offer a different experience. If guests stay a whole week, they will not repeat experiences. We would love that. The average stay at Ila is 3 nights. And the reason guests stay this amount of time is, they would arrive from their international flight, they do a city tour in Quito, and then they go onwards to the Galapagos, return, and then they have the possibility of staying at an Amazon lodge or exploring the Andes from another point. Now that we do have a guest that stay a little bit longer, because Quito can be used as a base to explore different parts of the Andes that are nearby. You have the local indigenous markets, the Avenue of the Volcanoes, and you have access to trips into the Amazon rainforest from Quito. Now, Ila has a project called Nest. This is where the hotel hosts young culinary talent from all around Ecuador. They offer a scholarship where they offer a place to stay, full board, and a salary for these young chefs, as we call them. And they come to learn with the chef, not to cook, but to actually manage a luxury restaurant. And then they bring that knowledge back to their communities and share it there. Every 2 years, we have a project together with other restaurants as well and other partners where we choose the best of the interns and we build a restaurant in that community. So far, we've opened one in the Amazon with the Sequoia community, another one nearby Suleta in the Andes. Now, other locations near Quito, as I mentioned, the Otovalo Market, Mindo in the Cloud Forest, and the Cotopaxi National Park and Volcano. Now, you can also extend your trip to other countries. Easy extensions, and that really makes sense, are Colombia, Peru, and Argentina, because we have direct flights from Ecuador to Colombia. We can go onwards to Bogota and then onwards to Cartagena and visit the coffee district. To Peru, we have our programs in Machu Picchu where you can combine, a cruise in the Galapagos with a visit to Inca ruins. And there's also direct flights to Buenos Aires from Quito and Guayaquil. So onwards, and then you can extend that into Patagonia or north to Iguazu. And we have our, as I said, we have our own offices and staff in each of these areas, and we have our own tour programs. So we can actually have a seamless program that combines several destinations. And our concierge department is it makes sure that all the restaurants, all the hotels know dietary preferences and everything, so that way it's a seamless experience. Now that's the end of my presentation today, but it gives you an idea of what Latin Trails can offer in the Ecuador and the Galapagos. A little bit of a distinction between hotel-based programs and cruise programs in the Galapagos Islands, how to offer them to your clients. And finally, these are our contacts. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer them right now. But if something does not, we don't have the time to answer, or we don't have an answer, which could be the case. We're not 100% knowledgeable, if you want to say that. But here's our contact information, and we're happy to get back to you if there's something that would be actually pending. But I'm sure that we'll be able to go through all these. Andrea's going to start reading out the questions, and we'll help you with some more detailed information.
Perfect. So we have one question from Teresa Landry. Approx price for a 4 or 5 night trip?
Well, that's going to really depend on the category of hotels and boats. But to give an idea, for example, the first yacht I showed you, the Seaman Journey, it has a right for this year. There's a price of $850 per night per person. While the Hermes, the new yacht that's coming out in May, the price is pretty much close to $2,000 per night per person. So that gives you an idea. It could range, on a yacht, it's going to range anywhere from 3,000 up to 8,000 per person on a shorter 4-day program. Now, on a hotel-based program, we can take into as a ballpark figure. It's going to start at $350 per day per person. Feel free to write to us. Our email is there, travel@latintrails.com. You can visit our website, www.latintrails.com, and we're happy to answer questions and assist in planning programs to different areas, not of just Ecuador, but of South America.
And by the way, just for your information, Marcel's going to come back on April 29 when he's going to be talking about Ecuador. And of course, I mean, if you have any question of Galapagos, entonces, therefore, he's going to be able to answer those questions as well. So it's on April 29, Ecuador. The main subject will be.
And so thank you for having us, and thank you everybody for joining us. We're happy, as I said, you can email us any other questions that you have or anything that comes up. If you need any help with any of the bookings you have in place, we're here to assist. Thank you, and you have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you very much.